Hello, and welcome to 4 Movies, where I will be talking about 4 movies that have something in common. What do they have in common? I know, but do you? As I go through these movies, if you figure out what it is, go ahead and say what it is, and at the end of these videos, I will go ahead and tell you what the similarities between the movies are, other than the fact that they're in my collection. So, they got one thing going for them. Okay, on this episode, first movie. Like I said, this one might be a little bit tricky, but follow. Because I don't organize my movies in alphabetical order, I organize them by some connecting factor, some connecting thread in the movies. First movie, Masters of the Universe, starring Dolph Lundgren as He-Man. This movie is phenomenal. Like, there's a bunch of people that will, talk junk about this movie or sit there and just be like, oh man, it was horrible, blah, blah. No, it wasn't. I said it was entertaining, and the special effects hold up. Man, them practical makeups are amazing. There's some lizard lady. She looks great. Like, even to this day, you watch it, and it's not like a thing of where it's like, oh, computer graphics made it look dated. It doesn't do that. Like, it holds up so entertainingly. And yes, there's camp to it and stuff like that, understandably. I think the guy's name is Billy, who plays Gildor, or anyways. And then of course the lady that's in there. There's a lady that's in there. Dolph Lundgren plays the He-Man, and then there's a lady who's also like a side character in there, and she's been in some stuff. But I don't know, I recently watched The Last Boy Scout, and she's in that, where she plays Bruce Willis's wife. But yeah, this was a fun movie. I thought it was well played. It also has the bald guy from Back to the Future, where he's like, "Get off my porch," So that he was like a school teacher in Back to the Future. Yeah, well worth a watch. Like I said, entertaining. Frank Langella or Langella as Skeletor. Man, that voice is just epic. Wow, man, it's so good. And like I said, the costumes are amazing in the movie, and that's what makes it hold up. Is that it's one of those things like, is it dated? It's more or less like a time capsule instead of like a movie that's talking about the future and the past and didn't know what they were talking about because of the limited knowledge that they had at the time. But a time capsule of what they had at the time, done great. And it was like I said, it just holds up to me personally, and I find it entertaining and well played. Like, there's a bunch of people like, oh no, live action He-Man movie was horrible. It wasn't. It was enjoyable. But that's my opinion. Next movie, bam, the classic, the epic, the legend, Scream. Which, if you didn't know, if you put this movie in the DVD player, it totally skips the DVD menu and just starts playing, as some should. Directed by Wes Craven. Oh, starring so many people. Jamie Kennedy in there as Randy? Is it Randy? No. Maybe it's Randy. No. No, it's not Stu. No, is it Stu? I don't remember Jamie Kennedy's character's name. But like, there's certain rules when being in a scary movie, and to survive a scary movie. I sometimes feel like I am that character on Creature Features, because like with the Tusk, I was like, no, you broke the rules, man. You can't. They showed the creature halfway into the movie, and it's like, why are you doing? Okay, if this is a 2-act structure, why are you doing it like that? Because a 3-act structure is what covers creature feature, and a creature feature, like the reveal of the creature, should be the start of the 3rd act and conclusion. You know, like third act should be creature reveal, conclusion, and they just showed the creature too early, and I believe because of that, it hurt the movie, and the movie could have been better if it would have, you know, held back a little bit, and, you know, amped up the intensity. That's just my personal opinion, but like I said, it is a full-fledged movie, so. But Scream was phenomenal. Like I said, I'm way off subject. But Scream is phenomenal, and just well played. Is one of those things like a satire, because of the fact that it's almost one of the things, like it's a horror movie in and of itself, and it makes fun of like that. That was also one of the points of how spoof movies were good back in the day, because of the fact like Spaceballs makes fun of like Star Wars and stuff like that, but in all of itself becomes its own thing. Like that's where the originality comes. Like, I want to make my version of this. I want to make my thing, and that's what I personally believe should be the goal of directors in general, or writers and stuff. Like, my favorite movie was this, so I'm giving you my version of that. You know, I have a script written where it's one of my favorite movies is, you know, this movie, and it's like, I want to show you my version of that. So, yeah, anyways, Scream, phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. If you haven't seen it, what are you doing? Definitely see it. Here's a movie. Very Bad Things is my favorite movie, but is not the movie I'm holding up right now. Sorry. Wild Things. Kevin Bacon in there. Sheesh, so many people. There was a movie, I forget what it was called, like Bayou Blues, or I forget what the movie was called, but it has that similar tone to it. But this movie is one of those things where it's like, oh, how cheap, but at the same time, it's not. It's not that cheap movie. It's one of those things where it's like, it transcends that and becomes something epic. And it was like one of those things that you were definitely not expecting that when you saw it in theaters. And Bill Murray in there, all-star cast, loaded up. Get to see a little bit of everything, a little bit of everyone. And it has these like twist turns at the end that just like, it's one of those things where like, what? Whoa, yeah. Okay, all right. When it could have been something so shallow, it actually uses its camp in a degree to make it, to amp it up to something, you know, better. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's a wild movie. It's definitely a wild movie. It's Wild Things. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It is rated R for appropriate reasons. But a good mystery crime thing in the bayou. I don't know if it takes place in Louisiana. It's some kind of swampy land. Anyways, next movie, boom! Reefer Madness, the musical. That's right. If you didn't know, they made a musical of Reefer Madness. Because Reefer Madness, if you didn't know the history of Reefer Madness, this also has a copy of the original Reefer Madness on it. Which I own a copy of the original Reefer Madness somewhere else. But if you don't know the history of that, essentially what it is there was a church group that funded a movie where they were talking about Public Enemy number 1, marijuana. And they made this movie about how marijuana was evil, which, you know, they it was like 30s or 40s or something like that, and they said that, you know, if your kids smoked this Public Enemy #1, they would turn them into hussies and criminals. It would turn them into criminals, maniacs. Turn them into maniacs and sex crazed and you know, hussies and stuff like that. This is that weird propaganda junk. Whereas, but they made the movie, and then an exploitation director of the times bought the movie and turned it into Reefer Madness. He added some more risque scenes for the 1940s or 50s, whatever world, you know, risque stuff, like lady puts on lingerie. She puts her stockings on her leg. Ooh. But then they also made a musical starring Kristen Bell. That's it, Kristen Bell. And the guy that played Nightcrawler's in there, and a couple of other people. But it's fun. It's also has like a little history lessons on the special things there. If you didn't know, back in the day there was a. Okay. All right. As the history goes, this is a show. I guess this was made for a Showtime movie. Whatever. Back in the day, there was a new fabric coming out called nylon, and nylon's biggest competitor was hemp, because they used to use hemp for everything. Like, hemp was a cash crop of America. Like, we grew that, made robes, shirts, all this other, like clothing, robe, all kinds of stuff. Basically, fabric. And so there was a new fabric coming out called nylon, and so the only competition was hemp. So they basically made this successful smear campaign on hemp, connecting hemp to marijuana, and marijuana being, you know, public enemy #1, and so horrible, and blah 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 blah, and it makes it horrible. That's for the longest time, marijuana was classified as bad as heroin. No, and that's like no way that's even plausible. Really, honestly, you can't OD on it. It's non-addictive. And then, like I said, they had the smear campaign. The creator of nylon also knew people that were in like the presidency and stuff like that at the time, and they were the first group to initiate the drug czar, which is Henry J. Anslinger, I believe, and he made just these fraudulent claims to just smear and defamation for hemp and marijuana.